We're continuing to follow the impact of different vaccine requirements, and some of the most interesting ones to look at are actually the ones for the military. We learned from Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin that the military would be indeed implementing an actual vaccine mandate. It's just, you've just got to get vaccinated. That's it. It's not a protocol where you can test out. You got to be vaccinated. And we are now starting to see the first discharges from the military for vaccine refusal. Now, the right is making a big deal out of this and framing it as unpatriotic Joe Biden by making service members get vaccinated, and losing service members refusing to get vaccinated is weakening the military and is therefore unpatriotic and a socialist and a Marxist and a communist and, right, like follow it along to its whole thing. 27 people have been discharged, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we know so far. The Air Force has discharged 27 service members for refusing the COVID vaccine. These are the first service members to be involuntarily discharged for refusing the vaccine. Spokesperson for the Air Force said they received counseling about the vaccines. They still refused, and commanders made the decision to discharge them for refusing to comply with that requirement, considered to be a lawful order. All 27 of these individuals were with the Air Force under 6 years. There may have been additional reasons for the discharge, but the COVID vaccine refusal was at least one of those reasons. Now, they announced this back in August. So they had August, September, October, November. We are now in December. The Air Force had a deadline of November 2nd, which was one of the earlier deadlines. And of course, you don't immediately remove the people on November 2nd. You've got to go through a process, and that has now taken place. Each branch of the military has its own process for discharge, and they all include, we're going to counsel you about the vaccine, we're going to educate you about the vaccine, then there will be disciplinary action. You will still have an opportunity to get vaccinated, and only after that will we start with the discharges. And what is fascinating about it is that what the right says is a horribly authoritarian thing is, number one, something that has been in the military for what 100 years? I mean, I don't even know when the first military vaccine requirement came in. But in particular, in the military, there have been so many vaccine requirements that nobody questioned for so long. So, number one, if this is authoritarian, where have you been all this time? That's the first issue. The second is that even the way they're handling this is eminently reasonable. I'm reminded of the segment we recently did where Tucker Carlson criticized a CNN host named Brian Stelter because Brian Stelter fired his nanny. He fired his nanny because she wouldn't get vaccinated to be around his kid. And when you listen to Brian Stelter explain it, he says, yeah, we really like the nanny. And so we said, let's wait 6 months. She doesn't want the vaccine, but let's wait 6 months because she'll see that it's safe. And she'll come to the decision on her own that she's going to get the vaccine to protect our kid or kids. I don't remember how many. And she still didn't do it. So it was really tough, but we did let her go because we want someone vaccinated around our kid. Eminently reasonable. And here with the military, it's, we're giving you months notice that by November 2nd, you've got to be vaccinated. If you refuse, we're going to give you counseling. If you refuse, we're going to give you education. We will then just write it up and still not discharge you. It is endlessly reasonable for a group that historically just line up and get vaccinated. That's it. Now, the other takeaway here is that the vaccine requirements really work. The Pentagon shows that about 90% of the active duty force is vaccinated, and 74% of the total force, including reserves and the National Guard. That's significantly more than the general population. Of course, it's made up of adults, so we got to make sure we're comparing apples to apples. So we're going to continue to see what happens elsewhere. So far, just 27 people. And so anybody telling you this is unpatriotic and weakening the military, it's 27 people from the Air Force. Army deadline is December 15th. There will be another deadline, like the final deadline is the Army National Guard. That's not until June of 2022. So those are the latest numbers as we now understand them. Remember, we were told we may lose tens of thousands of service members here. So far, it's 27. we were told we might lose a third of NYPD. It was what, some type, was it 34 people or something along those lines? United Airlines, there's going to be no flights, there's going to be no nothing. Almost everybody is vaccinated now at United Airlines. So it's really a twofer at the end of the day, in the sense that you improve the overall health of your personnel, you reduce the risk that your personnel are going to contract COVID and be sick and be out, et cetera. But we're also getting rid of some of the wackiest people. As we've said before, there's probably, if you imagine a Venn diagram of police we don't want because of reasons other than they don't want the vaccine, either use of force, not the types of people we want, and police that don't want the vaccine, there's probably a lot of overlap there. We're probably getting rid of a bunch of those bad apples by saying, if you won't get vaccinated, you got to go. I would suggest to you that it's the exact same thing when it comes to the military. If you disagree, let me know.